Okay, let's do a bouncing square. Here we go. We'll go here and we will copy this code from bouncing square. This is the bouncing square example. We'll go here and we'll paste the code and run it. We have a bouncing square. And if we press P, it pauses. And we press P and then S, it steps. And P unpauses it. That's great. So here's our code for bouncing square. And what we're going to do is actually just remove some of the code. Okay. And then we'll go here and get rid of that, fine, do that, and get rid of do step, okay, which we'll get rid of. Cool. Okay. So basically, there's no reason for us to redo this part. App started initializes the position of the square based on its left and its top, and the size of the square, the width and its height. Okay, and then redraw draws the square using that information. Left top, and its right, of course, is its left plus its size, and its bottom is its top plus its size. We'll make it yellow, which is just great. Okay, so if we go ahead and run this, there it is. Of course, it's not moving because timer fired is doing nothing. So let's think about what we want to do in timer fired. What we want to do is move the square, say to the right. We'll just get right and left going on to begin with. So for that, we probably want to do its square left, say plus equals 10. Okay, and off it goes. The problem is it's going to go right off the edge. So what you want to do is say you want to go 10 to the right until you get to the right edge, and we're bouncing, so you want to come back to the left. One way we could do this would be to have app.headingRight, which is a Boolean. I'm going to say if we're heading right, then we'll add 10. Otherwise, we'll subtract 10. Oh, come on. This would actually be fine, okay? And we run it, now we're heading right. And alternatively, we could say false and we could be heading left. And now all we have to do to bounce is change this from true to false. That's one way to do this, and it's not the way we're going to do it. What we're going to do instead is we're going to store this value in dx, the change in x, and we will just say app.squareleft plus equals dx, app.dx. Okay, now what will happen is it's 10, it's positive 10, so I'm moving 10 to the right, 10 to the right, 10 to the right. If it was negative 10, we're adding negative 10, so we'll move 10 to the left, 10 to the left, 10 to the left. So now we see that we can bounce by simply changing the sign of app.dx from positive to negative or negative to positive. Cool. So after we add, if we get, let's start by going to the left. It's a little easier, okay, even though the right up does it the other way. If the left of the square went below 0, then we want to bounce. Watch what happens. Left, 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 left. Less than 0, bounce. Cool. When we go to the right, we're not checking to bounce, so we go to forever. But the bounce happened because when we got less than 0, we changed dx from negative 10 to positive 10 right there by simply negating it. Okay, excellent. As a small point, what we can also do right here is we can have our app.squareleft exactly equals 0. So if we were to extend over the edge a little bit, we'll reset to be right on the edge. A little cleaner. Okay, now we just have to do the other way around. So elif the square left is greater than the width. Okay, then we want to bounce again. By the way, this line right here is the same line, interestingly. That bounces and that bounces, even though this one sets negative to positive and this one sets positive to negative. So we run it and we're going to bounce left, and we run it and we're going to come here and bounce right. Okay, although it's going to be a little funky. Over the edge and bounce right. Cool. It was funky because we checked if the left edge was beyond the width. We want to check if the right edge is beyond the width. So if it's greater than the width minus the square size. If it is, we also want to happily reset it to line up exactly on that edge. Just exactly like we did this line here. So now when we run it, it'll bounce right on that edge, bounce, and it'll come over here and bounce on this edge. Bounce. Beautiful. Okay, so that's what we did for x. You pick up y generally by just doing for y what you did for x. I copied it. It's square left becomes a top, dx becomes dy, left becomes a top, widths become heights, dx's become dy's, and the logic is perfectly the same. Here we can have app.dy equals, let's say 5, and now we're bouncing. And we're really flat because we're changing y by half as much as x. If you want to make it more vertical, let's change y by more than x, and now we'll be more vertical bouncing. Okay, cool. Excellent. So now we just have to pause. For that, we'll say, are we paused? Let's say true to start. And in timer fired, if we're paused, we'll just return. Okay, so we start out, and actually we do nothing because timer fired is saying we're paused, we're paused, we're paused. So we have to pause and unpause. For that, we use key pressed. And if the key is a P for pause, you want to say, if I'm paused, become unpaused. If I'm unpaused, become paused. Just flipping app.paused is all we have to do. And now we're paused, but if I hit P, we unpause. And if I hit P, we pause. P, unpause. Generally, you want to start unpaused. So now, but if P pauses. And finally, S takes a step. So what I want to do right here is I want to say, if you hit S, take a step. So what I want to do maybe is call like timer fired here, okay? Because we want to do this stuff. But timer fired, this isn't going to work for two reasons. First, you should not call timer fired. And second, it's actually going to do nothing if we're paused. So when I run this and I pause and I hit S, nothing happens because we call timer fired, which we shouldn't have done, and it immediately says, I'm paused, I'll do nothing. Because timer fired is off when we're paused. That's what it means to pause. So the answer to this is to make a new function called take step. And timer fired will say take a step. And key pressed will also take a step. So if I hit S, I'll take a step. And timer fired, if I'm not paused, I'll take a step. By the way, this is fine, but you can also do it this way, which is kind of clean as well. If I'm not paused, take a step. So now, step, 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 pause, S, 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 unpause. By the way, S still works while we're unpaused. Fine. Pause, S, S, S. And that's it.